Good afternoon. I'm so glad you joined us today. I am excited about my first guest. I've known this man for quite a few years. We will not say a number. Mr. Oscar Street, welcome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for inviting me, Carol.
Okay. We're here to talk about a heritage church in Coffee County, which is Young's Chapel. Tell us a little bit about where it first began and when.
Well, our records don't tell us exactly when it began because the church really began as a mission. Many years ago, there was a place on the west side of town they called the Mill Quarters. The reason it was called the Mill Quarters was because Mr. Darby had a sawmill there, and the houses over there were built for people who worked at his sawmill. Well, the sawmill closed down, and some of the people in the area noticed that on that side of town they didn't have a Baptist church to worship in. And so some of the people started going from house to house. They would have mission. A few people would meet and they'd have mission. And it was started by a lady named Miss Ethel Callahan. And they have mission in her house. And finally the mission began to grow and got a little bigger. And they said, wow, why not just, let's not meet in her house all the time. Let's move it around. So they would go from her house to other houses to other houses. And the mission just kept growing. So then in 1920, they said, wow, we need to form a church. So the Young's Chapel Church was formed in 1920. Let me point out that even though I say it was a Young's Chapel Church, it wasn't called Young's Chapel Church at that time. It didn't receive that name until sometime later. But we have no records to tell us the name of the church. We just know that the church was officially formed in 1920.
Okay. Some of the names that were there, do you have any records of the earliest members?
Our early records only point out one member. It says Sister Ethel Callahan and 8 others.
And 8 others.
And 8 others.
I found that a lot.
Yeah.
I really do.
So the names of the other 8 originals have been lost somewhere in history.
Well, that's wonderful. Where was the first church done?
The first church was located right there on Baker Highway.
Okay.
Where our most recent church was before we moved on to Shirley. That church was, the original church was there. The church first was built there. Now, the church was organized in 1920, but they didn't have a building in 1920. In fact, the land for the church was not purchased until 1927.
Okay.
And it was bought from Mrs. Ritchie. I'm sure you've heard her name somewhere.
Yes, Ritchie Hall.
Ritchie Hall. Miss Vicey Ritchie owned the land, and a group of members went to her and asked about purchasing that land there where the old church is located. And she said, yes, I'll sell it to you. I'll sell it to you for $125.
Wow.
And they said, okay. And they went back and they tried to get up some of the money. You know, they didn't have $125.
Oh, no, nobody.
And so they tried to get up some of the money, and this is where I come into the church. My grandfather was not a member of the church. But the little small community there, they got him to go with them and help him out to talk to Miss Ritchie. And he was not in the original group, but the second time they went to her, he was with them. And he said that as they began to discuss the business with Miss Ritchie, he told her, he said, well, now, Miss Ritchie, we're going to build a church there. And she said, well, the group who came the first time didn't tell me
that it was a church.
That it was going to be for a church. I didn't know what they were going to do with it. So she said, well, since you're going to build a church there, I'll tell you what, I'm going to cut the price in half.
Wow.
So they actually bought that tract of land for $62.50 in 1927.
That's amazing to me, how cheap land was. And of course, $1 was a lot of money back then, too.
Oh, yes, it was.
So that makes a difference. How long were they at that site before y'all built the other one?
We were at that site until, let's see, until 2003.
2003, and that's when you built the one on Shirley.
Until we built the church on Shirley. So we were there from 1927 to 2003.
Okay. And it's a Baptist church.
It is a Baptist.
We need to point that out. It's a Baptist.
Missionary Baptist church.
I was raised in a missionary Baptist church.
Right.
I know about that.
Right.
Tell me some of the things that y'all do at your church. Some missions or activities that y'all have.
One of the things that we try to point out, I think when we do our tax return, we have to point out some things. They do ask you the mission of your church
yes.
on your tax return. So You know, first of all, we do believe in Jesus Christ as our Savior. We promote that very heavily. We promote that ideology through prayer. We promote it through preaching. We promote it through teaching, and we promote it through singing. Of course, there are outreach ministries.
Right.
And we do have different auxiliaries in the church.
Wonderful.
You know, we have the choir, the usher board, the youth ushers, the deacon board, the deaconess, whatever, the mission in action, the pastor's aide. You know, we have various auxiliaries in the church.
Y'all have a lot of little pots and stirring,
yes,
aren't they?
Yes.
That's wonderful. So, who is the oldest member?
The oldest member of our church right now is Mrs. Mady Wilcox.
Okay.
She's 96 years old.
Wow, amazing.
Miss Mady Wilcox was born the same year that the church was formed.
That is something to be so proud of. That is. I am so proud of that. Thank you. Is there anything else you want us to tell us about your church?
Well, I'd just like to say that one of the things that we did recently, we honored many of our members who had been there for 50 years or more.
Ooh, how many did you have?
And we had, I think it was 20 members total.
Wow, that's good for 50 years.
We have 20 members. Well, we had, when we voted on it, we had 20 members. Before we had the celebration, one member passed away.
Wow.
And we had the celebration on the 17th of September. And then on the 27th of September, another one of those passed away. So now we are presently down to 18 of the 20 people who had been members there for 50 years or more.
That's something to be so proud of.
Yes.
I know I have always been told all my life that churches, a lot of times they'll split and they'll grow, and that's good. But it is so comforting to me that members stay with a church.
Yes, we had difficulties. There were difficult times in our church like any other church, but we did have some people who stuck it out, and I'm very proud of them. And we did have the opportunity to show them some appreciation last month.
That's wonderful.
That we do appreciate those members who had done that.
Anything else you want to add to us?
Well, I'd just like to thank you for the opportunity to say a few words on behalf of Young's Chapel Baptist Church.
Well, you're welcome.
Thank you.
We'll be right back. Welcome back. We're so glad you returned to visit with us today. I have two gentlemen here today that are going to give us a lot of information, Mr. Oscar Paul and, of course, Jerome Loving. I'm going to get him on here as a co-host because he's been here a lot with us, and we appreciate that. That's because he's so busy in the community. But today our focus is on the Lester Smith American Legion. I thought it was. I'm trying to get it right now. 515.
Correct.
See, I got the numbers right. Yay! Okay, gentlemen, let's start off. When and where was it founded?
Well, first of all, thank you for having us here, to talk a little bit about our post. Founded May 7th, chartered May 7th, 1948 as Lester Smith American Legion Post 515. And at that time, we had 20 members. Those 20 members chartered. And we had our commander and founder, Jasper Jack McLean. And from that, we've grown, and he can tell you about where we were located and this, that, and the other, if you will.
Yep. All right, thank you. In 1948, when the American Legion Post 515 was chartered, it had to be named after a deceased veteran. So therefore, it was named after Lester Smith, who was killed in World War I. Jasper T. McLean, as we call him, Jack McLean, he was the first commander of Post 515. And it was first located on Cherry Street. Back then we called it Rat Row. But during that time, they had two posts. On Rat Row, which is Cherry Street, was the post that the club.
Oh, yes.
And located on Pearl Street and the Baker Highway at that corner, that is the building upstairs where they had the meeting room.
I didn't know that.
Yes.
See?
And then later on, during the course of the years when they passed by, they relocated the meeting room on East College at Park Avenue, across from what is now the Coffee High Freshman Campus.
Right.
That building was also used as a classroom for us because we were short a classroom, but it also was the meeting place where they had the meetings and held dances. And then later on, after Urban Renew came through and bought up the place, we relocated down on McLean Avenue, and which we purchased from Moody Field Air Force Base, a partial building, and we moved it there in that location, and then which was a corn patch, and we picked up the nickname Corn Patch, but it was still American Legion. And
Right.
then in 1985, we reorganized the building, reconstructed the building rather, and then it's the prevalent structure that you see now that is located on McLean Avenue.
And it's been so active.
Yes, some things he said that is what had a misnomer for many people when he said building on Rat Road, the club, and the meeting room, and then moved to the corn patch. The name American Legion never really took off because right now there are 2 American Legion posts here in Douglas, and because of that misnomer, American Legion Post 515 never picked up. But the purpose is to provide a service to veterans, their families, and the community, and I think we do a pretty good job.
You do a fantastic job. I'm your biggest cheerleader.
Yeah, we started with the 20 members. Now we have a member strength of 208.
Wow.
And our goal each year is 165, but we always exceed our goal
That's good.
and get an award.
That's good.
But we're currently working on renewal right now. We need another about 85 to get to that 100% again. So. But we have several projects each year we do, and of course, you know what we're doing this year.
Oh, yes.
The Reefs Across America, and we need help. They're still on Reefs Across America. Going to Dublin on Sunday, this Sunday coming, so we need some more goods for veterans, like comfort items, T-shirts, underwear, the men and women, all the things that we can give to a veteran to help them out along with that. You can also join us on the trip. We're going to leave 9 a.m. from the Central Square parking lot. Okay. And November the 11th, we're going to feed every veteran of Coffee County, veteran of Coffee County and their significant other. We'll feed them at the Ware Center. A full meal, and
wonderful.
We're going to serve them this year instead of having them walk. We're going to get some help from the.
Do you need volunteers for that?
Well, we got the Leo Club and the NJROTC
Fantastic.
to help. But if anybody want to come and see if they can help, and they can always donate to the cause.
Oh yeah, there you go.
And of course, each year we do our Thanksgiving and our Christmas, and on a daily basis, whenever we can help someone, not just veteran in the community. For instance, last Saturday, we fed a veteran family. He lost his sister,
Right.
and we do a lot of those kind of things. So that's our charter, and we have to do it.
And you do it so well.
Yeah.
And to be perfectly honest, I didn't even know there was another American Legion in Douglas until I talked to your wife one day. And she said, I don't ever see him. He's always working.
Another note on that too, that back in 1948 when things were segregated, we petitioned the American Legion for a post. And so all the black posts, which back then was known as color posts, they had to become 500 posters.
Oh, so the numbers are...
Yes, they are different. They are the black posts are 500 posts. But in 1980, somewhere around there, the state told us we were going to change the numbers that we could, you know. But
that's a heritage thing too.
But we decided that that's what it was, you know. Since it was organized by peoples back then that had to struggle to get it done, we decided to keep the number 515. But also now, there's no such thing as a black and white post.
It's all...
We all American Legion posts. We just happen to have 2 posters here in Douglas and a VFW that we just call the Coffee County Veteran Organization.
Right.
Because we do a lot of work together.
Well, that's what it ought to be.
Yeah.